It's just like sandpaper. The grit is usually labeled on the side. 200 is very coarse, 1000 is pretty smooth. Then we go 4000, 8000. They go all the way up to like, I think I've seen 30,000 before, which is basically like glass, and that's for getting like super, super fine edges on things. Usually, all you need is a light one, like 1000, maybe somewhere in the 800s, and then like a 4000. That's all you really need to get a sharp knife. Okay. The hardest part about sharpening a knife is keeping the angle the entire time. You'll see on this one, right? This is the knife I learned on, so I've got all kinds of weird scratches and stuff all over it. And if that's important to you, fine. Just learn on your school knife, really destroy it. Then when you get a fancy knife, you can put a clean edge on it every time. I can tell you, nobody in the industry cares. Right? If your knife looks busted up, but it's sharp as a razor, who cares? It's sharp as a razor. That's the important thing. Okay, now there are a couple ways to test your knife. You always see this. Not good, because trust me, I've sharpened my knife sharp enough. Chef, once, when I was working, Chef would go to any station, he'd just grab anyone's knife and he'd start cutting with it, right, because he's a chef. And he started using mine once, and he goes, what's the point? He just throws it on the floor, and then he walks away, and I was like, oh, okay. So then I sharpened it crazy sharp, and he picks it up, and he goes like this, and he cut his thumb. And he looks at me, and he's like, touche, and he just walked off. So don't do that. The better way, if you're in a pinch, don't run your finger across it. Use your fingernail, okay? If it slides across it like you're playing a string instrument, nothing's going to happen, right? It's dull as can be. When it's hard to move, it's literally cutting into your fingernail so that you know it's super sharp. You don't have any nerves there. It doesn't hurt at all. Okay, I promise you, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't. Okay, but like down here at the butt of my knife, it's a little sharper. But up here, right, some of your knives, I could act like I'm playing a violin. Like it's just terrible. It's awful. All right? So, you don't usually need the most textured side for anything. I'm going to use it today just because. But really, if it's that textured, it's just to take out any burrs in your knife, which this doesn't really have, but I'll run it across it once or twice.
What is
Burr, like a little chip in it. Like a chip or a flex. Like when I look at it, it's straight. There's no dents or nicks in it. Right? You usually get that from slamming it around or if you drop it or something like that. Okay? So this is a whetstone. You can use it in water or oil, but you can never go from one to the other. I always just use water because it's cheap. It's always available. You only soak them for a little bit. If they soak too long, they get brittle and they can start breaking. After a while, you need to get a stone flattener and flatten this back out because you're going to wear a groove in it, and then you're not sharpening evenly. Okay? So set it up. You see I have this very fancy paper towel. It holds it pretty solid. The coins are a good thing because if I'm right-handed, which I am, I want the front side of the blade to be at a certain angle, okay, which is 2 coins. So I hold it like so. I put it against the blade. I go from like 11 to 4, or 11 to 5, or like 10 to 4, right? It's never straight up and down, it's never side to side. Give it a nice little angle. I use these coins to help me establish the point on my knife, okay? Because all of this is just metal. Down here is the blade, right? Your blade's only like 1/8 of an inch there, right? You buy a whole knife for really this much blade. Okay, that's what we're actually sharpening. Now, this is a Japanese knife, so one side's going to be steeper than the other, and it's sharpened for each hand. The knives you guys have are German style, so it's 50-50. So if I use 2 coins on one side, I use 2 coins on the other side. Make sense? Now, you can sharpen it to be, this is going to be 70-30. You can sharpen it to be 70-30, it just takes more time because you have to change the way the knife's been made so far, right? But you'll see, this, all this does is peel off layers of metal, okay? So like this, I have my angle, get those coins out of there, right? You want to work comfortably, you want to make sure it's solid. Put your fingers directly against the blade, okay, you're pushing out. When you bring it back, it only sharpens under your finger, okay? And you just slowly walk it down the knife. Now this knife is huge, so it gets a little difficult to sharpen evenly all the way down the point. Right, but it sounds like sandpaper. And you see I have all this stuff on there? That's what's really sharpening the knife, okay? A lot of people clean this off because this is what'll scratch your knife up, is this film. But if I add just a little bit more water, okay, and then I keep going, you'll see it'll get sharper and sharper. Now it takes a little bit of practice. You're not going to go flying through it, and if you do, you're probably not going to sharpen it very well. When I started, it was literally, Up, slide it down. Up, slide it down. But you see this huge film building up, right? I'm pulling part of the rock off, it's pulling part of the knife off. Okay, it's getting sharper, right? Now you can do this next to the sink and just rinse this off, or you can do like I'm doing because it's a demo. You can do it just like this. All right, so that's on the front side. You should be able to feel a little ridge develop on the other side. Okay, and you'll see this in the video and it'll make more sense. If your fingers are clean, you're doing it wrong. Okay, your fingers should get dirty, and this is all metal. Right, that's literally just metal shavings on your finger. It's not going to cut you, but don't go like licking your finger because that's just doesn't make any sense. Okay, a little bit more water. Now on the back side, okay, this time the blade's toward me. This time I'm going to go this way. That way I'm still got my angle, right? It's comfortable. On the back side, if it's German like yours, 2 coins again, right? 50, 50. Because mine's Japanese, I'm going to take 3 coins. That way I can just get my angle.
Oh wow.
Okay, got it. Now I know what it should be. Get these out of the way. Same as before. Now obviously this one's going to peel the most metal off, and the most stone is going to change, right? Because it's the coarsest. You can hear it. It sounds like sandpaper. Right? Lots of it. You see this side's much thicker because of that tighter angle. This is important because I have to sharpen according to what hand I am for this knife. It is sharper, but it does make it different. Like if I try to cut straight through a watermelon with this, it'll curve to one side. Like if I just drop it, it'll naturally curve because I've shaped my blade that way. So like if you give a left-handed knife to a right-handed person, their stuff's gonna come way off. Like it's gonna be all over the place, okay? So now I come through and I feel it, right? I can't slide it. It should be sharp every stage before you go to the next stage. Like it's not like, the next one will fix it. No, it needs to be sharp now, then we make it sharper at the next stage. Okay? So, does anybody want to try it? Like, do you want to understand? Gentle pressure. Yep. Gentle pressure, Shan. Thank you. Okay? I just want you guys to see I'm not like, yep, that's it, but like it's real, okay? So, now I'm going to switch over to the side, right? This is a smoother side. This is usually your normal first side. This is usually your dull side. This, again, is for like extreme work. Like I shouldn't have used it at all, but for demonstration I did, okay? This is the one we usually start on, like 1,000, maybe 2,000, okay? That's like your medium grip. This is where we establish like the real blade of our knife, okay? So, if I need to, get my coins back on there, on the front side, right? Okay, I got it. Now you can tell by looking at it, you see how now it's wobbling? Because the one side I just ground it down. So eventually I'm going to have to go through and flatten this. Because if you're trying to sharpen a knife on something that's not flat, what's the point? You're just going to scratch it up and sharpen it unevenly. Okay, so again, fingers on the blade, up, right? If it slides, it means it's too wet. Now they have special stone holders, but this is cheap. Okay. And I'm putting a lot of pressure straight down. Okay, it's straight down. It only sharpens where there's pressure. Okay, if I just do this, I'm not going to accomplish anything. I got to get pressure on there, really sharpen that blade. And you see it's a much darker color sediment now, right? Now we're really grinding the metal. Okay. Backside, okay, I already know my angle, but if we needed to check it, 3 points. Okay? Now the hardest thing is going to be holding your knife straight. You're going to ruin the first couple knives you try to sharpen. Because you're gonna sharpen with a wobble. Okay, you're not used to like really holding your hand straight. You guys are seeing that now with your knife cuts, right? It's hard to hold your hand straight, so it takes a lot of practice. That's why I'm saying beat one knife up really badly and then get a really good knife and then you'll be able to sharpen it that much better. Okay? So lots of sediment, right? That's all metal. If I sharpen this and go to cut something, it's pure metal that I'm wiping into whatever it is. Okay, it's a lot too. Now sometimes You'll go to sharpen, and you won't keep the same angle, and you'll dull it. So you gotta go back and start all over. Okay, Shane, you wanna verify? See how you can't really move it? It means it's cutting into your thumb, like right away. By yourself? Good. Okay. Now this is my 4000. This is where we kind of refine our edge. Okay, it's not usually necessary. I can easily go cut stuff with this. It's more than sharpen up. But I want to refine my edge, okay? This is also where we start polishing it. Okay, when you start getting like a mirror shine on stuff. When I switch over to my 8000, that's when I'll really mirror polish it. But this one still, it's smoother, but there's still some friction there, okay? So again, just a little bit of water, help it move across the surface. And you'll hear it gets quieter and quieter each time, because there's less stuff that I'm trying to grind off of my knife. Right? Get my angle. Now with this knife, it's so long I can start to bend it, so be careful how much pressure you put on it, but it does need to be directly on the blade. And you see it's starting to get a little shiny, right? Okay, now what's really important too is that you're making one blade. I know that sounds weird, but when you look at it, especially when you start, you'll see like little lines, kind of like when you look at a topographical map. It'll be a line here and then a line here. So because when you sharpen it, you're changing the angle, right? So you'll sharpen it one way and then you'll sharpen it the other way, so it's not one blade. You want to get one continuous smooth blade all the way across, right? So when I tilt this in the light, and you can see it in a couple of places, like especially near the tip when the blade changes shape, like right here, there's like a small ridge. So I could work on that until it's completely smooth, or I know that I never use this part of my knife, so I'm not really that worried about it, okay? But before we go on, we gotta check it. Okay, it's just getting like stupid sharp now, which is dangerous because it's huge. So don't ever borrow my knife, because I always just throw it in my bag. Be careful when you reach in there. Now this is the one where we do all the polishing. Okay, this is where we get that super shiny side on it. Right? Now we want to use way less pressure, because right now we've got a good blade, and the polishing stone, because it's so soft, we can kind of break that blade. Not like snap the knife in half, even though you could. We just want to use less pressure. Okay, so you'll see that it's used much, much less pressure. And if there's a hair or something on it, it changes the way it sharpens, so be careful. Try and use the entire stone, that way you're not making as big of a groove in it.
You still using your angle?
Mm-hmm. Same angle. Otherwise you'll see it when it goes to be sharpened. Now I'll go with a little more pressure, just to get that super shiny edge on there. Now, the finer the stone, the more mirrored the polish will be. I can tell you for an actual kitchen knife, and especially a pastry knife, it does not need to be mirrored. The second you cut something, it's not mirrored anymore. So if you're like, ooh, look at it, I'm going to be like, ah, you don't use it. Right? But even now, you can see it, right? It's extra shiny compared to the rest of the knife. Right, now when we look at it, just one blade all the way down the edge, right? So, sharp? Yeah. To test, cutting paper is bad for your knife, but it's a good way to test if it's sharp. Newspaper is the best because it's the least abrasive for your blade. And if you can cut newspaper, you can probably cut anything. Right? And what we're looking for is we want it to actually cut, not tear, which is what happened originally. Okay? Obviously practice safety, right? But you see how it's actually cutting the paper? It's not tearing it. I have a smooth cut. Now I can get it sharper and sharper to where it just goes right through it, but I'm more than satisfied with that, especially for how big this knife is.
So even cutting paper changes the...
Anything you cut.
Wow.
Anything you cut changes the blade. Now for pastry, we don't have to worry as much because we're cutting like fruit, right? Or bread or cheesecake.
That has like a abrasive or...
Anything.
Wow.
Anything we cut. If we put our knife, if we just wave our knife around all day, air will eventually change it. Because it's, what's that? Can you see? Yeah, go for it.
So Chef, do that chicken meat be in the icebox?
It does.